All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our first live stream and welcome to Twitch if you've never been on here before. I can see everything fine on my end, but is everything coming through okay on your end? If someone could let me know in the chat if you can hear me and see me, that would be amazing. And then we'll go ahead and get started. My cat has already jumped up here. I can't guarantee that he won't come into the stream. Okay, great. You can hear me. Everything's coming through. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Well, hello. Welcome to our very short 4-week summer class that we have together. My name is Elisa Setmire, and I'm your instructor for our class, Intro Psych, that we will have together over the next 4 weeks. So I'll be doing this every week as long as nothing comes up to prevent it. And I will be just kind of going over the reminders for the week. It's a great opportunity for you to ask me any questions if you have them. The chat is your way to communicate with me. So if you do have any questions at all, feel free to put them in the chat. I am monitoring them on my phone and I will be happy to answer them. So if there's anything you're confused about as we go through the class, bring those questions here. Of course, you can always email me as well, but bring them here and I would be happy to address your questions. So what we're going to do is we're going to head over to Canvas together and take a look at our course homepage. And again, if you have questions at any point, feel free to ask, but I'm just going to kind of highlight a couple of things, make sure everybody is feeling good about what is due and expected of you this week. I'll of course leave some time at the end for some questions. We'll talk about all of the materials that you need to complete, and that will be our plan. And this will probably be the longest stream that we do. Normally there'll be maybe about like 30-40 minutes. This one might go a little bit longer just since we're going over the course in general. Yes, and I see some of you have subscribed. I'm going to talk about that a little more later, but if you haven't subscribed to my Twitch channel, make sure you put your name in the chat at some point. If you have subscribed, you don't need to worry about doing that because I can download a list of you at the end. So this is our course homepage on Canvas, and you'll notice on here there's a little description and then there's all these little modules, and I think it looks nice, right? You can click on each one of them. I've been teaching online now for some time, so I'm a very organized, meticulous person. I hope you see that and appreciate that. But what you can see here is we have the orientation materials, how to get a hold of me, some campus resources and help, some course documents and videos, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then you get to have a nice rest of your summer. So each week you can click on it. All the materials that you need to complete are under that week, but where you should start is where it says right here, start here, right? So hopefully at this point, this is due by tonight at 11:59 p.m. So hopefully at this point you've read through the mandatory lecture. Hopefully you've even taken the quiz, you've purchased your ebook. We're going to talk about all of those things, but let's go ahead and start here with this little mandatory orientation lecture. And what I did is put together a 5-page lecture, just kind of giving you an overview of what you can expect for this class. And I think this is a great place to start. And what you'll see here is you can listen to me reading it to you, if you would prefer, if you miss the sound of my voice, or you can just read it yourself. But as you'll see, what I'd like you to do is read through all the pages, read through the syllabus, complete the quiz, which we'll look at a little bit later together. Find me on YouTube, find me on Twitch if you're joining me right now, which about 18 of you are at the moment. That means you all found me. Congratulations, that's fantastic. And I gave you some instructions about how to subscribe and follow me on both of those platforms just to make your life easier. We'll talk more about that later. The next page is a little bit about what you can expect from this class in terms of organization. Basically, our class, because it's only 4 weeks, each week is equivalent to a month, right? So if you were taking this class in a normal semester, we're completing in a week what you would normally do in a month. So it moves very quickly. What you can expect is that each week you'll be reading 4 chapters in our required textbook. There'll be a lecture that goes with each one of those. There'll be a lecture video that goes with each one of those. And then you'll have 2 discussions related to those chapters to complete. In addition to that, you'll also have an exam every single week. You'll have 2 self-assessments where you'll reflect on your progress and how you're doing in the course. And then you will have a closing assignment during the last week. And basically how things will work, as I have right here, just to keep it simple, Everything that you need to do for each week will be compiled under that week's folder. And the weeks will open up at 12 in the morning on Monday and then end Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. You can do the materials at any time you would like. You just have to have them done before the Sunday night deadline. And I am really quite strict about that deadline, so please be mindful of that. I will talk about that a little bit more when we get to the syllabus, but please just try and make sure you're meeting those deadlines. Again, you can work ahead throughout the week, or you can kind of pace yourself. It's completely up to you. The next page here, a little bit about myself. As I told you, my name is Elisa Setmire. You can call me Elisa, you can call me Professor Setmire. Dr. Setmire is a lie, but it's a nice one. That's fine. And I give you a little bit about myself. I'm a huge football fan, though I'm going to have a little bit of a existential crisis this year because my guy Brady finally retired, I think. We'll see. So it's going to be a sad football season for me. I love the holidays. I'm a huge sports fan. As you can see here, I'm obsessed with escape rooms. That's probably my favorite thing to do. I have done 98 escape rooms, and my birthday is next week, and I plan to do number 99 and 100. I'm very excited to hit the 100 mark. Oh, good, you love escape rooms too. Do you have a favorite? If any of you have done rooms, what do you have a favorite one? I think my favorite, that's a tough one, but I think my favorite was Lab Rat, which is in Los Angeles. Oh, it was such an amazing room. We beat it at the buzzer, so that was super exciting. A horror-themed room, it was amazing. There are so many of them. I am obsessed with them because it's such a great application of psychology. I love how themed they are. Oh yeah, there's some great ones in Hollywood as well. Don't get me started. I could talk about escape rooms all night. A couple other things. I do have 4 cats. And since I'm doing these at home, they will likely make appearances at some point. So you can look forward to that, potentially. I love when they come in. I also have 3 little kids. Hopefully they will not make an appearance, but I can't guarantee that. It had a live actor. Yeah, some of the ones, I did all the ones at the basement. And those ones all have a live actor, which is a little creepy and distracting, but also kind of cool. So love it, love it. So again, you can call me Elisa, you can call me Professor Setmire, but I wanted to give you just a little bit about myself. I've been teaching this class online now for almost 15 years or so, so I'm very comfortable with online. I like to use a lot of things like Twitch and YouTube, which hopefully will be really accessible for you. I make a lot of videos so that you can see my face. If you see me out in public, feel free to say hi. Sometimes you'll recognize me and I won't know who you are since I never see any of you. So feel free to say hello. There's some stuff here about the computer and internet settings. If you have a newer computer, you should be fine. You obviously need the internet for this class. Hopefully good internet connection would be a must for you. And then there's some stuff here on the last page about help. So if you're struggling with Canvas, I give you the Canvas phone number. If you're having a hard time with issues related to the textbook, here is their email. I also gave you their phone number. You can always email me. I'm here, and I check my email constantly. But if you need help with the ebook, here is their contact. And then also, if you're having a hard time with ordering it or purchasing it, I have their information for that here as well. The other thing I'd like to just go over quickly is the syllabus, and I'm not going to go over all of it. Please read through it on your own. But just to highlight a couple of other things. You went to College of the Redwoods in Humboldt State too? Yep, I absolutely love it up there. I went to Humboldt State for my bachelor's and master's. I love the trees, love the weather. So this weather that we have now, this cloudy, like cool weather, this is amazing. I'll take it. I love that area up there. I try and go back every single summer. So let's open up the syllabus here and just take a look at a few things. Just a couple of things to highlight. Again, I won't go through all of it. Yeah, I love this weather as well. Though I've never been to Norway, right? So my email is right here. Email is always the best way to get a hold of me. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to email me. I check it constantly. I have an office phone, but since it's summer, I'm not really on campus very much. So emailing me is going to be the best way to get a hold of me. There's some information here about the division and department chair and dean in case you should need any of that. I'm going to let you read over this on your own, a little bit about an introduction to the class. What are all the topics that we're going to cover? What are the learning outcomes? I'll let you take a look at that on your own. But here's one thing that is really, really important. Have I been to Norway? No. Okay, have you been? Yes. Okay. Well, good. Moving there to continue college. That's fun. So you do need to get a copy of the ebook as soon as possible. And hopefully you've already purchased it because you need it to complete the mandatory orientation quiz that is due this evening. So I'll show you where you can purchase this and where the link to it is. But you'll notice the book is called Psyched. It is something that I did write. And you will be using it constantly. All of the exams are on the ebook site, all of the materials that we're covering. So it's really crucial. You cannot pass the class without the book. So please make sure to get that ASAP if you haven't already. And again, I'll show you where you can find that information in a few minutes. You might consider downloading the Canvas app or the Twitch app on whatever computer or phone or tablet that you're using. And then you obviously need internet as well. I gave you some computer information. Let's look really quickly at the codes of conduct. I really want this to be a fun and inclusive class. I hope all of you feel comfortable sharing and contributing. So let's always try and be respectful of each other and be mindful of the things that we're saying and doing. I told you earlier, I'm really kind of a stickler for late work, right? So our class is organized around having an entire week to complete the materials. And so I expect that you can meet those deadlines and get them done before the deadline has passed. Now, I do understand that emergencies happen and life happens. The only way that I will ever give an extension is if you email me before the deadline has passed. If you email me at 11:58 p.m. Sunday night and say you had an emergency, you're still before the deadline. If you email me at 12:01 a.m. Monday morning, it will be too late. So please just keep that in mind. If something comes up, you must reach out to me before the deadline. I will work with you and be flexible for any reason. But if you email me even 1 minute after the deadline, it's going to be too late. So just something to please keep in mind as we go through the class. Try and be mindful of the deadlines. If you know you're going to be really busy all weekend, then do the things early in the week or vice versa. Please don't copy or cheat. There's some stuff here about smoking and Title IX and things if we were on campus. And then here are the things that will make up your grade. So you get 10 points for the mandatory orientation that is due by tonight. If you have not taken this, make sure you complete it by this evening. You will be doing 2 discussions every week. This makes up a big part of your grade, and we'll look at these a little bit later together. There's 2 self-assessments that you'll complete. They're each worth 5 points, just kind of reflecting on your progress. There's a closing assignment worth 25 points, and then you'll take 4 exams worth 75 points each. So you can see these will all add up, and here's a kind of the breakdown of points. If you have a memo with access, make sure you get that to me as soon as possible so that I can set you up for whatever accommodations that you might need. Again, some more information here about the college, some student technology support. And then after that, you can just see the schedule of what you need to do every single week. So I will be sending out reminders every Monday morning. I'll go over the reminders on our Twitch sessions, but you can also see it here that you'll notice for week 1, these are the things you need to read, and these are the assignments. And then you'll see that for week 2 and week 3 and week 4 and so on. So just make sure that you're keeping up with those things. Again, our deadlines will be every Sunday night, except for the final week. For whatever reason, our final week ends on a Friday. I will remind you when we get closer. If you end up, somebody just asked if you have internet or computer issues during a test. If that happens, make sure you reach out to me, right? Hopefully it won't happen. It doesn't seem to happen too often. But if you're taking the test and your computer crashes, the internet goes out, the ebook site goes down, email me and we'll work through it together. So this is where it comes in handy. Make sure that you're taking the exams and doing the materials. Don't wait till the very last minute. Please try not to do them at like 11 o'clock on a Sunday night. I probably won't get that email until it's too late. So if you can, try and take them a little earlier. That will give us plenty of time to address those concerns. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but if it does, reach out to me, right? And we'll work through it together. Okay, so that is kind of the highlights of the syllabus. Again, make sure you look over that on your own. And then you'll notice I've sent out some announcements. So let's talk a little bit more about those and about the textbook. The very first announcement that I sent out was about the orientation and textbook information. So here's what the book looks like. It's called Psyched. If you're on that site, oh look, see, I told you that I would have a cat eventually. This is Rolly. This is my favorite cat, right? So he can make his appearance and then we'll get rid of him, right? This is my favorite cat. He's a two-hander because he is a very, very large cat. So see, there's one. We'll see if the other three find their way over here eventually. But this is what the course website looks like. And I gave you the website here. This is where you can click on it to purchase it. Now, I know that textbooks are expensive, but this one isn't too bad, right? So my abnormal psych class, their book is $276, which is absurd. And I'm so sorry. It's just part of college. Ours is $87, which isn't too bad. And again, you will be using it very, very much. So yeah, $276 is awful. And if you take math or like science classes, it's even worse. Trust me, I went through lots of years of school. I know that books are awful, but you do need to get the book. Please make sure you purchase it and register it right away. If you haven't done that yet, do that right away, right now, if you can, or as soon as we're done tonight. And once you do that, what you'll see is this is what the ebook site looks like. And I did make a little video here that you can watch giving you an overview. And you'll see up at the top, there's this little welcome page, the chapters of the book, some extra resources, the exams, and then a little temporary grade book. So if you click on chapters, this is where you can find the content of the book, right? So chapters 1 through 16. So if I randomly click here on chapter 1, you can see here, you know, there's an outline, your objectives, a summary, and then it gets right into the chapter. And again, I did write this book, which is kind of fun. So hopefully you can hear my voice in it. I gave lots of examples. I talked about food way too much because I love food. It's food and football. I talk about way too much in here probably. Register. So once you purchase the book, they send you an email. And with that email, that allows you to create your account, pick your course that you're in, right? So you'll notice that when you do purchase the book, right, it will go ahead and send that to you, right? So that will be your way of registering the book, connecting it. Yeah, it sends you an access code. And then after that, you're all set up, right? So you should be reading these chapters every week. This is what they look like. And again, you can kind of skip around through them. The key terms are at the end. The other big thing that's up here are the exams. All of the exams are here on the ebook site. So this is where you'll find that mandatory orientation quiz. The first 4 exams, or all 4 exams for the semester, are on here as well. So one thing to point out, and a couple of you have emailed me about this, when you take a quiz or exam on here, your score doesn't automatically come over into Canvas. So don't stress if you don't see it in Canvas. I have to bring the scores over manually. So you will be able to see your score right here in this little grade book, but otherwise it won't come over until I bring it over after the deadline has passed. So don't stress if you don't see it in there. As long as you complete it and see it here, you're in good shape. Are there any questions so far? Just I know I'm talking a ton. I won't talk this much any other time, but just want to make sure you're feeling good and comfortable with the class. Any questions for the moment? So from the grades will go on Canvas. So typically our weeks end Sunday night. And then what I will typically be doing is grading everything on Monday. So on Monday, by Monday evening, all of your grades for the previous week will be done and you'll be able to see them in Canvas. So you should be able to see that by Monday night. And then I typically send out an email with some general feedback. And then we'll go through that feedback when we have our Twitch session on Wednesday. Once the exam opens, how do we take the practice test? It doesn't show up on your screen. So the practice test won't appear until after the deadline for this passes. The practice test is just the mandatory orientation quiz, but without any points, just to help you with the format. Okay. All the tests and quizzes are on here, yes. So every single quiz and test will be on the ebook site. None of them are on Canvas. So what you'll see on Canvas is there will be like a link saying, exam number 1. So for example, if we go to week number 1 really quickly, you'll see right here it says exam number 1. And if you click on that, it's going to tell you, here's the link to go to the ebook site to take that. So all of the exams, all of those materials are on the ebook site. Okay. You get one attempt on every exam, and you get the same amount of time for every single one. I'm going to talk about exam number 1 in a few minutes. So no, there isn't a practice exam for the test. So you can review. I do have a couple of little review activities that I'll show you on here, but you only get one attempt, right, with every single test. So for example, with the mandatory orientation quiz, this one's really short. So you have 15 minutes to take it. You get that one attempt, and you can use your notes, you can use your book, but make sure that you're always organized and ready to go. You have to save your answers as well, so I'm going to show you a little bit about that. So when you're ready to take that, you'll click Begin Your Attempt, and it's going to open up the quiz for you. And you can see here at the top, right, there's a list, there's 10 questions. You can skip through them. So let's say I don't know the answer to number 1, I could skip to number 3, and you'll see the ones that are skipped are like a gray color. So for example, this course is self-paced, allowing you to work ahead through the semester, right? That is false. And then you would hit Save Your Answer. Really important that you save all your answers or it won't record those points. And you can see that it's saved, it turns this like gold orange color. And so let's say I don't know the answer to that one, I could skip it, right? And so you can move around through these because you do have a timed amount of time. So you can see the little clock here. You want to make sure that you're always being mindful of the clock. The best way to contact your instructor is through email. So you'll say true and hit save. And then again, once they're all saved and you're done with it, what you'll do is you'll hit I am finished, submit for a grade. And it'll say, are you sure? And you'll say yes, and submit it anyway. And then you will instantly get a score. So I got a shameful 2 out of 10, but I only did 2, so to be fair. But it will show you the questions you got right and wrong. So that will allow you to kind of see your grade. And again, it will be housed in here until I bring it over to Canvas once the deadline has passed. If one day we're not available to join the Twitch, is it going to be recorded? Yes. So I'm always recording these and then I will post them later. So you'll notice again, if you go to week number 1, what you'll see right here, see how it says recording of week number 1 Twitch live stream. So typically after we finish this, I'll start downloading it and uploading it. Sometimes it takes a couple hours, so it might even be tomorrow, like the next day, but there will always be a recording, so you can always watch it later. Okay? Great. All right. Thank you for asking questions. I love that you're here and asking questions. This is the perfect place to do it. And that's exactly why I do these little live streams, so that you have the chance to interact with me live. So thank you for answering and asking questions. I appreciate it. Okay, so back to the ebook site. Again, the mandatory orientation quiz is here. Hopefully most of you have taken that already. I will be grading those tomorrow and bringing those scores over to Canvas. The other thing that is on here, I just mentioned, there are some additional resources right here. Now you don't need to use these at all, but there are some flashcards for the key terms. There are some like little activities that you would do if you were taking this class with me in person. I have my PowerPoint slides. If they're helpful for you, they are on here. But here's a little test yourself option. And these might be things that are helpful for you with the exams. So for example, if you click on test yourself, what they do is they have some like drag and drop activities where you can put things in the right places. These might be nice little ways to review for a test. Completely optional. They're not worth any points, but it might be something that's helpful for you. So I just wanted to point out that they are here if you would like them. You'll mainly be using this page for the chapters and the exams, right? Everything else will be housed on Canvas. So you'll be on Canvas and on this page, and that is it. Okay, will the points for attending these live streams also be put in on Mondays or on a different day? Yep, everything will be put in on Monday, right? So I will typically grade everything the day after the week has ended. That way you can have your grades right away. I'm sure you want your grade quickly, and so I will always grade them on Monday, unless of course like there's an emergency or something, in which case I would let you know. Okay. Okay, will we see grades of quiz or test in the ebook? Yep, so after you finish your score, it will show you right away on the ebook site, and then I'll bring those over after the week has passed. And yes, thank you, True Blue. I like that. Chapters 1 through 4. So each week you'll be responsible for 4 chapters, and those 4 chapters will be on that exam. Okay, and I'll talk more about that exam in just a moment. Okay. So that is the ebook site. And again, I made a little video here. We'll come back to this in just a moment, but let's go back to Canvas. And I'm just bouncing back and forth between those two things. And so again, I showed you the homepage, right? And we looked at the mandatory orientation lecture. So let's say you've done all of that. Now it's time to start week number 1. Right, so week number 1, what I've done is I've put everything that you need to do under its corresponding week. And there's always going to be a little checklist at the end that you can double check as well. So for this week, we're looking at chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So 4 chapters every single week. And again, we're doing in 1 week what we would normally do in a month. If you took like the full semester class with me, you would do 1 chapter a week. But since it's a very compressed class, we're doing 4. So my recommendation to you is that you should obviously be reading the ebook. Now, the order I would do this in if it were me is I would read the chapter, then I would go through the lecture and then watch the lecture video. Totally up to you. You can do it in whatever order is comfortable, but I think reading the chapter gives you a really nice overview. But there are basically 3 elements for each chapter. There's the chapter to read, the lecture, and the lecture video. And there's obviously overlap between them, but it's going to be helpful for you. The lectures are in the same 5-page format as the mandatory orientation. So what you'll see on the first page is objectives and summary. You can listen to it as well. I have recorded everything for accessibility, and I know some people like to hear it rather than read it, so that's totally optional. The second page is always going to be beyond the book, so some stuff that's kind of beyond the textbook that I thought would be relevant or helpful or interesting. So sometimes I'll make little lecture videos, or I'll include a video that I would have shown in class had I been teaching this in person. Anytime I give you a video, watch it, especially if I say right here, like this will likely be on the exam, you might want to watch it and take notes. Anytime I give you a link to click on, go click on it and explore it. Everything together is going to help you to understand the materials. The third page is always going to be in pop culture, trying to give you some shows and examples of how you can see these materials in popular culture. Psychology is in everything, right? So there's often a lot of wonderful examples in pop culture to link to. The fourth page is always going to be key terms and review. So here's all the terms that you need to know for the exam. So if you wanted to study 1 chapter at a time, you could study all these terms and you would be in really good shape. And then the last page is always going to be application. Now that I've read through this, how could I apply it to my life in some way? So this one is all about degrees and careers. And again, with every page, you can listen to it or you can read it. It's completely up to you. But I have made you a lecture, and then I've made you a lecture video. And the lecture video is me lecturing to some PowerPoint slides like I would do if you were taking this with me in person. Now, if there are no outside videos, I post them on YouTube. That way you can watch them from anywhere. A lot of them are Zoom links because I did show you videos that are from pop culture to make it more fun and engaging and exciting. So it'll either be from a YouTube video or a Zoom link, but make sure you watch these, take notes. Those are going to help you to understand the materials, and you'll have that for every chapter. So chapter 1, you read the chapter, you read the lecture, and then you watch the lecture video. And then you'll do the same for chapter 2, 3, and 4, right? 4 chapters every week, you can count on that. And then every week you'll also have 2 discussions. So let's take a look at discussion number 1 together and what this looks like. And I'm very big on consistency. So what you'll see is that every discussion starts the same with all of the instructions and a video. And then you'll have my prompt underneath, right? So all of the instructions are up here at the top. And you're going to want to watch my little brief videos. I'm going to highlight the topic. I'll give you examples. I'll explain. Some of them are a little bit older, so you can laugh at my very long or very short hair in some of them. But you watch the video, and then what you're going to want to do is answer my prompts once you have finished doing all the reading, right? So this one is about chapter 1, right? And so your responses to my questions are worth 13 points. And then you get 2 points for responding to a classmate. And I gave you some tips up here. Try and think about these as like little mini papers, like roughly a paragraph response for each question that I give you. You're going to read through some of your classmates' responses and reply to one of them to get those 2 points. I do have some samples here if you'd like to see what I'm expecting. I'll be giving you feedback when I grade them next week, right? But if you would like a sample, there is one here. So always watch my video. I think they're really helpful. I did take the time to make them, so hopefully they'll be helpful for you. But this one is all about like the history and scope, right? So these questions are things that you should be able to answer once you've done all of the reading and the lectures. You hit right here, you hit reply, and that's going to give you a little box where you can type your response, right? And when you're done, you'll hit reply or post reply. And then you're also going to reply to a classmate. So see here, Nick answered all my questions, and then a few people like Sarah, Noir, a couple of you, or Noor, sorry if I said that wrong, a couple of you then answered him, right? So you can see that people are responding and then also replying to a classmate. And that classmate response is only worth 2 points, but it's a very easy 2 points, so make sure that you're always doing that. Okay, so this is discussion 1, same format for discussion 2, right? So if you click on discussion 2 right here, it's going to be the exact same style. So at the top, you'll see my instructions, you'll see my little introduction video, there's the prompt posting and sample if you would like to see it, and then this one is about chapter 3. So you'll do 2 of these each week. They add up to kind of a lot of points. So make sure that you're really elaborating in your responses, show off your knowledge and understanding of the materials. This is a great opportunity to show me that you get it and you can apply it. And so this is my way of kind of building on the information constantly. And then you obviously have an exam every week as well. So that's the next thing that I'll talk about. But are there any questions about the discussions? For now, again, every week you'll have 4 chapters, 2 discussions, and an exam. But before I move on to the test, are there any questions at all about the discussions? We're getting there. I know I'm talking a lot, but we're getting there. Anything at all? Hopefully you're feeling pretty good about them, but just to make sure. Yeah. Oh, wait, just a second. You're usually like 30 seconds behind me. But if you think of any questions, put them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the next element, which is your exams. So the exams, you'll take 1 every week, and none of them are cumulative. You're welcome. I will never give you a cumulative test. So each week, the exam is just on the 4 chapters that you've covered that week. So what you'll notice is that all the exams, remember, they're all on the ebook site, up here where it says exams, up at the top corner. And with every single exam, I've given you a study guide, right? So if you click on the study guide, it's going to tell you every single term and concept that you need to know for the test. Now, I honestly think that my exams are probably a little bit too easy. They're very straightforward and clear. If you have studied and prepared, you will do really well on them. A lot of people get A's on the test. I'm fine with that. I don't want to trick you. I want you to be successful and do well. So what I've done is giving you every term that you need to know. So for chapter 1, make sure that you know everything that's right here. Chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. This one also has 2 diagrams, so I gave you the diagrams so that you can practice with them. But if it's not on this page, you don't need to worry about it. If it is on this page, it will be on the test. Now, I've always been a very kind of meticulous student, a straight A student. If it were me, especially for the first exam, I would type or write out every term that's on here and have it with me in front of me when I go to take the exam. What that would do is make sure that every single thing that you might need is in front of you. You're not trying to search through the book and the lectures to find a term. If you're doing that, you're going to run out of time. And that is a little bit intentional. I do really want you to study and prepare like you would for a normal exam, but you can have your notes with you as a backup. And that's going to be a really wonderful resource, right? Let's say you're in the middle of the test and you don't know what Pearson's R is. You can just go right to your study guide. You have it right in front of you, and that's going to make you be really, really successful. So I would just kind of suggest that. If you find that you prepared too much, you can always dial it back. But you don't want to have that moment during the first exam where you're like, oh, I didn't do enough, and it just creates anxiety. So better to over-prepare, especially for the first exam. Okay, so your study guide is your friend. It is the exam without the questions. Make sure that you know everything that is on here. And then let's look at the actual instructions for the exam as well. And so remember, the exams are all on the ebook site. So if you go to exam number 1, the instructions are the same for every single test. So let's talk about them for a moment. You have 75 minutes to complete the exams. You get 1 attempt, so be ready and organized before you begin. Now what that means, in my mind, what that means is make sure you have good internet, you have a nice quiet space to take the exam, you have 75 minutes to take it, right? You don't have something that's coming up in an hour that's going to make you pressed for time. You've studied, you prepared, you have your study guide and notes in front of you. You can use your notes, you can use your book, you can use anything at your disposal, But if you are trying to look up every single question, you are going to run out of time. 75 minutes is plenty. The average amount of time people take is usually right around like 60 to 62 minutes. But if you haven't studied and you're trying to understand the question, understand the term, and find the answer, you're not going to finish. And again, that is a little bit intentional. If you study and prepare, which I'm hoping you do, you should be in wonderful shape. I will never trick you on a test. If it seems unclear, maybe read it again. But make sure that you are organized and ready. The one other thing that I would really just encourage, try not to wait until Sunday night. You have all week. Take it Friday, take it Saturday, take it Sunday morning. But if you wait till Sunday night, it feels like the world is against you, right? The power's going to go out, the internet's going to go out, your computer's going to crash. Something like that always happens. So try it and take it earlier if you can. The exams are typically like in the 70s for the number of questions. You have about a minute per question. Now that should be plenty of time because some of the questions are true false. And so those ones should be very, very quick. And again, as long as you've studied and prepared, you really should do quite well. I think my exams, if anything, are probably a little too easy. But again, I just want to make sure that you understand the materials. And I'm fine with all of you being successful. It would make me so happy if every single one of you got an A in this class. I would be thrilled. Okay, so the exams are worth a lot of points. So again, please take time to go through the study guide. Make sure that you set yourself up for success. And you'll notice if you click on this, if you forget where the exam is, if you click on this, it will remind you to go to the ebook site. But all of them are on the ebook site. And again, when your score doesn't come over automatically, don't panic. I will bring that over once the weekly deadline has passed. Okay, the only other things that are on here is you will notice I will post a recording of this. Probably Monday. Yep, I will grade all of your discussion posts every Monday. So the weeks end on Sunday, and I will grade them on Mondays, typically by the evening, and you'll have an email and your grade and so on. Okay? All right, so you'll see the recordings will be posted here. There's nothing here yet, but when we're done today, I will upload it and download it. And so the recording will be there if you want to go back and watch it again. The other thing that you'll see is the extra credit, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But there is a wrap-up checklist that's on here as well. So what I've done is give you this little thing every week where you can see these are all the things that you should have done. Right, and Canvas doesn't check these off for you, but you can go through and check them off for yourself. But these are all the things that are required for week number 1. It's also just everything that is listed under week number 1. So hopefully that just kind of everything lines up and makes sense. And the only other thing that I didn't talk about, I want to go up and just mention this really quickly. There's a bunch of resources up here. Right, so here's the syllabus. Here's a copy of the little welcome letter that I sent you, textbook information. I made a little video overview if you're still confused. And then here are a few other resources that might be helpful. Right, I compiled a list of some frequently asked questions that people ask me every semester. So I put them all on here together. So not a bad idea to check that out if you have a question. I've also created a little student lounge where all of you can go together and talk to each other at any time if you want to ask and answer questions with each other in there. That's what it's there for. There's some help with technology and Canvas, how to find your grades, college services, psych major information. The one thing I want to spend just another minute on is this one. Right, so if you haven't noticed, we're using Twitch. I do use Twitch. I know that it's normally for video games, and sadly, we won't be playing any video games, which is too bad. That could be fun. But I use Twitch and YouTube a lot. And so make sure that if you haven't already, that you find me on both of those platforms. All of my videos, I tend to post them on YouTube whenever possible, as long as it's not like a copyright thing. And then I will be using Twitch for these live streams so that you can interact with me live. I would really encourage you to subscribe on both of those channels just so it's easy to find me and easy to find the content. But I'm really, more than anything, going to encourage you to do so here on Twitch. Now, please, please, please don't pay for this. I don't want you giving extra money here. But you can do this for free if anyone in your family has an Amazon Prime account. And so what I've done is given you step-by-step instructions right here on how to do this. It does take a couple of minutes, but it's free. and it's good for a month. And our class is only a month, so you shouldn't have to do this more than once. But I've shown you step by step how to do it, and then I even gave you a video at the end if that would be more helpful on how to do this. But a couple of reasons why I'm encouraging. The first reason is a little bit selfish. So when you subscribe, I can download a list of those of you who are on here, and that makes my life so much easier. Rather than having to go through and match your name to your Twitch name, I can just download a list, and that saves me a ton of time. And with 3 kids and softball and just everything that I do, I greatly appreciate those of you who take the time to do that, because it saves me a lot of time. Another really big reason is you don't have to deal with ads. There will typically be an ad at the beginning, but if you're subscribed, you shouldn't have any other ads that pop up. I can't stand ads. They drive me nuts, so I figure other people probably feel that way as well. You'll also, makes it easier for you to talk to me during streams, so you can always talk to me in the chat, but if you wanted to ask me a question privately, you can do what's called a whisper and do that. You also get a football cake next to your name. I'm huge on football, so it kind of looks like a hamburger, but it's a football if you click on it, and that's always fun. I love cake and I love football, and you get both of them together. So if you have the opportunity, please take a few moments tonight or tomorrow. Go through these steps, link your accounts together, and subscribe. Do not pay for it. I'm wanting you to pay any money for this. And if you can't figure it out, it's okay. The last advantage to this that I forgot to mention, if you cannot make these sessions live, if you are subscribed to my channel, you can still do the extra credit because I can monitor that you did watch it later. I have no way of knowing that if you're not subscribed. So if you subscribe and can't make these live, you can always do it later on, and you can still answer the questions on Canvas for extra credit. So again, if you can, take the time to do that. I will remind you every single time to do that and just to check that status. But if you can, go ahead and try and figure those things out tonight or tomorrow. Other than that, the only other thing that's left really is to talk about the extra credit and give you the extra credit question. But before that, let me see, are there any other questions? I tried to go through everything, but relatively quickly, just so that I didn't take up a ton of your time. I will always try and be mindful of your time. But typically what I'll do at the very end is I will give you the extra credit question for the week, and I'll show you where you can go answer that. And then the last 5 minutes or so will just be open for questions. It's typically me just sitting here waiting to see if there are any questions. But if you have questions about the material or the content or the class, wonderful time to ask me. I'm just sitting here waiting in case you need me. So if there aren't any questions, I'll talk about the extra credit. I would really encourage you to do this. It's 5 points every week. That's going to add up to 20 points. That will help if you miss a discussion or maybe you don't do so great on an exam. It's just my way of encouraging you to be here with me live. I know I can't see you, but I really appreciate seeing all of your names in the chat. And I love that you ask me questions, and it makes me feel connected to you as much as possible for an online class. So again, I'm not seeing anything here. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the extra credit question, and I'll give you a couple of quick reminders. The first reminder, I already typed this out, so I'm just going to put it in here. Don't forget to take a moment to figure out the subscription status, especially for Twitch, but also YouTube if you can, because the videos will be on YouTube. The other reminder, our next Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday, May 31st at 8 o'clock p.m. Okay, so I'm putting that here in the chat as well. So I'm planning on Wednesday evenings at 8 o'clock. My daughter does do softball, and I help coach her all-star softball team. So if things change or something comes up, I will let you know. But otherwise, I'm planning on 8 o'clock. I figure that hopefully my kids are in bed at this point. Hopefully it's a good time for you. If you can't make it, again, you can watch these later, and that's completely fine. They will be recorded for you. And if you are subscribed, you can still answer the extra credit question, which I'm going to give you next. So the other thing I'll do toward the end, and I typically will write these out ahead of time just to make my life easier, is I will post the extra credit question in the chat. So for week number one, the Twitch extra credit question, and I'm putting this in the chat so you can see it. So the question is, what is meant by the phrase correlation does not equal causation? Explain and give an example. So you might not know this yet, but this is from chapter 2, and this is something that is a very core concept from that chapter. And the extra credit questions will typically be things that you'll see on the exam, just as a quick review. So again, for this week, what is meant by the phrase correlation does not equal causation? Explain and give an example. So in order to get the extra credit, you have to do two things. You have to be joining me here live and either put your name in the chat, or if you're subscribed, you don't have to worry about it. Part 2 is you go back to Canvas, and you'll notice that each week you'll see here's the assignment, optional Twitch extra credit number 1, because we're in week 1. If you click on that, up here at the top, you can click on Start Assignment, and it'll give you the reminder, right? It'll say, make sure you put your name in the chat, and then here's where you're going to answer the question, and so on. So when you hit Start Assignment, it's going to bring up this text box where you can type your answer, right? And once you type out your answer to this, you'll hit Submit, and it'll give you a little confetti burst, which is very exciting. And sometimes there's, thumbs up. Sometimes there's other things in the confetti that you can watch for. But this is due by the end of the week, Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. It's worth up to 5 points. So 5 points for joining me for this live stream or watching it later if you're subscribed, and then also answering and getting the question right. So if you don't answer the question on here, you won't end up getting any points. So really important that you do the second step here, hit attempt, and this is where you will type and answer your response. And again, when in doubt, always look at the week that we're in, right? And so week number 1, you'll notice this is right here, right? It says optional Twitch extra credit. That's where you can click on to answer this. I hope that you do this. You're welcome to do this at any point during the week. I do sometimes grade these throughout the week, so if you get it wrong, I can let you know and you can resubmit it. But everything else I will typically grade on Mondays. So I feel like that's everything. Are there any questions at all? I can't see your faces, so how are you feeling? Are you feeling good about the class? Are you confused? Are you feeling set? Let me know in the chat how you're feeling and if everything seems clear. I am a psychologist, so I have to ask you how you're feeling, right? That's like mandatory. Feeling great and ready to go, feeling good. Okay, good, right? It's like the most stereotypical therapist question, right? How does that make you feel? How are you feeling right now? Okay, good. I'm glad that a couple of you are feeling good. So far, so good. Okay, so big things from here. Biggest thing, if you have not purchased the ebook, do it now. When we're done, go get your book. Get it registered. If you're running into an issue with that, email me. Okay, I'm going to send out emails tomorrow to anyone who did not complete that with a drop warning, because this class is so quick. I have to drop you by tomorrow night if I'm going to drop you. So just make sure that you get it tonight, complete that orientation, and then get going on week number 1, right? And if you ever have questions, if you need something, if something comes up, if you're confused, email me. I am here. I'm a real person with cats, right? You got to see Rolly. Whiskey, my other cat, my black cat, he's hanging out over there. And then I have Binks, who's in here somewhere. I keep hearing him, but he's not coming over. And then there's Squash, who is my orange cat. So how do you know how do I know if I bought the right one? So there's only one book that you should have purchased, right? It is this book. It looks like this. So it's Psyched. And it's the 4th edition. The 3rd edition shouldn't even be available anymore because they updated the website. So it should look like this. And again, if you go back to announcements, the very first announcement that I sent out to you is all about that textbook information, right? And this is where the link is to purchase it right here. This is what it looks like. Here's the ISBN. So hopefully you should be, that should be the one that you have. Okay? Okay, good. I'm glad you're good. I'm glad you're good to go. And again, what I will typically do for these last few minutes is I'll just hang out. If you have any other questions, this is a great time to ask. If you don't, you are welcome to take off and go get going on the materials. I will often minimize my video just so I'm not staring at myself, but I'll wait just another minute just in case, since there are still quite a few of you in here with me. But if you're feeling good, go ahead and take off. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful week. And again, feel free to reach out if you get lost, if you get confused, if you run into issues. I'm here and happy to do what I can to support you. Okay. And of course, if you run into an emergency, reach out to me as well. All right. And if you haven't already, go figure out the Twitch subscription thing. That will definitely help both of us. So thank you so much for those of you who did that. Okay. Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful night. I will see you next week on Wednesday. And we will have our week number 2 stream. Next week, what I will do is go over some feedback, and then we'll talk about the reminders for that week. Okay? Oh, that's very sweet of you to say. Thank you. Thank you so much, right? It's very kind of you to say. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for putting your name in there, Nick. I appreciate it. Nope. You don't have to subscribe if you don't want to. I really don't want you paying money for it. It just makes it easier for me to track your attendance, and it makes it easier for not having the ads. It also makes it easier for me to know who's here. And on top of that, it allows me to see who has joined and who hasn't. And again, the ads. I can't stand the ads. Sometimes there are some ads with Twitch, but no, you do not have to do it. It's just something I would recommend if you can. Okay? You too. Have a wonderful week. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right. So I'm going to minimize my video just so I'm not staring at myself, and since none of my cats are anywhere nearby. But I will hang out for a couple more minutes if you do have any questions. Otherwise, again, have a wonderful week, a wonderful night. And I'll see you all next week on Wednesday. Thank you as well, and thank you for answering some of the questions for me. I appreciate that. That's fantastic. Honestly, I would say the lecture videos. So the lecture videos, I'm going over all of like the core materials. The textbook I feel like is just helpful for an overview. It's going to give you a nice overview of everything that we're covering. But I would say the lecture videos are kind of like the condensed core stuff. And so I would say those would be what I would focus on in terms of notes. Or what you could do is use the study guide to help you and just make sure you're looking for the terms that are in the study guide, whether they're in the book or lecture is kind of up to you. Of course, you're welcome. And I am still here if any of you have questions. And if not, that's totally fine too. But if you have anything, I am still here. All right, so it looks like only a couple of people are left in here, so I'm going to close this up. And so I can download it and upload it onto our Canvas site. Again, if you think of any questions, feel free to email me. Thank you all again so much for joining me, and I will see you all next week on Wednesday.